and we all know that the India Food Tourism Organization is a very strong partner of the Delhi Gymkhana Club in the Northeast Festival. They have been a very good partner to us, and we have seen their tremendous food and the other aspects of the Northeast that they have brought to us. So we are very grateful to see this new aspect of tea. And the Vice President of the India Food Tourism Organization is himself going to talk to us about tea, so very happy about that. Shall I give the floor to you?
Yeah. It's been a kind of a wait to get this session started. I'm just trying to think where I should position myself so that all of you can see the screen. Okay. So may I request for the first slide, I think, which shows the map. We cannot explain the role of the Northeast and tea without a good map, without a good picture. Oh, there we are. So if you see our northeastern states, and if you can see all those sitting at the back, that area around between Assam, Arunachal, bordering Myanmar, that is really the birthplace of tea. We in India started drinking tea late, much later than the Chinese. But we have one plus point. The scientists now have shown that the tea plant existed in this region 22,000 years ago. It's quite a while. And then, as happens in history, with man, with nature, with animals, these seeds from this point got transported to a neighboring area, what is now known as Yunnan in China, in present-day China. Here, the seeds went through a small transformation. This was a colder place. So when the seeds took ground, they produced a different species of the tea plant. This could survive in colder weather. The plant was shorter than its original plant, which was found in the borders of Assam, Arunachal, and Myanmar. So we just need to understand that this is really the northeastern part, this bordering area. This is where it all began, the story of tea. Talking about the journey of Indian tea to the present state, we can divide it into a few stages. So the first stage was when the tea was being consumed in this area like food. Already, besides human beings finding the tea leaves useful, it seems that other species of animals also took some kind of an advantage in consuming these tea leaves. So it's been very interesting, how the tea leaves evolve, how the area evolves, and then the commerce of tea leaves comes in much later. Somehow, this area of Northeast remained very pristine. When I say pristine, I could also say it remained kind of cut off from the other valleys where civilization developed in India. Can we have the next slide, please? So here we can see the area of what we say northeastern region, the 7 sister states and the 8 Sikkim. If you see the distance between the area where originally the tea plant was and Yunnan, where it also took root, it's barely 650 miles, less than 1,000 kilometers. And this is where the second species of the tea leaf, the tea plant, evolved. With this evolution, something more happened. And what was that? The Chinese discovered that this tea leaf could be used to improve the quality of water that they had in the coastal areas. And that was really a big advantage. And almost soon after, there was the Buddhism that was gaining popularity in many of the areas of Tibet and some parts of South China. The Buddhist monks discovered that besides improving the immune system, these tea leaves help them concentrate during meditation. And I think this was the turning point. All this while, tea was there, the tea plants existed in the Northeast. People use them for food and people use them for all kind of different recipes. There is not much record, but with new scientific techniques, it's very clear that all this while this tea plant existed throughout these centuries and thousands of years, till one day a British gentleman discovered these tea plants growing wild. And that's the modern day Indian story. And I think India has never looked back. The fertile valley of Assam was so suitable for cultivating this Indian variety of the species, Camellia sinensis assamica, as we call it, that it really thrived. And this was as late as middle of the 19th century, somewhere 1850s. But the advancement in tea cultivation, tea production was so rapid that we soon overtook China in terms of production. And there is a very interesting story about how when the first tea batch from Assam was offered in a London auction, till that time it was the Chinese tea which was going there. There was a young Chinese diplomat who was very keen to know, because his family came from a tea growing area. So he was the first one to come to that auction that morning, and he waited patiently to taste this tea from Assam. And when he did taste it, he was a sad man. He said, he wrote back to his government. He said, this tea from Assam in India is so intense that our tea tastes like water. And in a way, he was right. So for the next 10 or 15 decades, tea from India, our northeastern region, took center stage, partly because of its quality and partly because of the British reach. They could, market it in the colonies, they could market it in Europe, and for a long time, it was the tea market, the global tea market was dominated by our tea from the Northeast. Let's come to the present day. What we have currently some challenges the tea industry faces. One of them is not many of the young generation who live there, whose parents have worked in the tea industry, they want to continue working there. They want to come to the bigger cities. They want to make a better life in terms of commerce, not realizing that quality of life also depends on the quality of water and air. I think last few years we've been talking about the air quality index in Delhi. It's been the big topic. Well, members here in Gymkhana, you cannot complain about the air, because what you inhale in the club is the same air as our Prime Minister inhales. So there can be no disparity when it comes to, the air, whether it's next door or in the club. So on a lighter note, we would say that people who are living in these regions, like where the air is bad, they might want to take a tour of the northeastern states and see what it has in store for people in the cities. I'm sure many of you have traveled in those areas, but I must tell you that some of the tea growing areas are so undiscovered and so sort of virgin. We are now trying to develop this in tourism terms so that people from the more evolved towns, who face pollution and water quality problems, they can spend some weeks or even a month over there. And here comes a very interesting aspect. When I said there might be youngsters in the tea growing areas who want to come to the big cities, I have met several elderly. When I say elderly, I mean they might be close to retiring, or they might be a few years from retirement, They said that now we want to give up. We want to give up this life in the cities and maybe have a kind of a small home in the towns, I mean in the places where there is good air, there's more of nature, and also they can spend their time doing something useful. So that's my next surprise. With the development of tourism in these areas, we would be planning ways of how people here could stay on in the tea growing areas for months at end, work over there, get some kind of a remuneration for what they are doing, and enjoy the life in the tea estates. So we waited quite a long for this session, so I just don't want to be in the way for the next cultural programs. Especially, I heard this traffic jam band doing the sound check. The sound check also was so pleasant to the ears. I'm sure their real performance is gonna, blow us away. My advice to traffic jam, with all this audience that we have here, I think the soft music will be more appreciated than the very jarring, loud noises. So I would like to, for the next few minutes, if anybody has any question to do with tea, I'll be happy to answer. Let it be kind of an interactive session. Also, I would like to mention that we in India are used to having tea with a lot of milk. My advice to all of you is, those of you who have tea with much milk, gradually start reducing the proportion of milk in your teas, and you will be able to appreciate the true quality of the good teas that we make. Unfortunately, many of the good teas, the premium teas that we make, they are exported, and simply, not that we can't afford the good teas, simply because we add so much of milk in them that the flavor of the real tea gets suppressed. So with that, I think I would like the organizers, thank the organizers, and a very special thanks to all the members of the Gymkhana for being here, for being present here. I hope you can enjoy the rest of the evening, and a very special thanks to Her Excellency Ms. Suzuki for finding time to be here and waiting so patiently for everything. Thank you very much.